Welcome to the new FICS background check application demonstration presented by FICS Oregon Police and Diverse Computing. Today, I will be providing you with a walkthrough of the new and improved FICS background check application and provide a live preview of the new functionalities that dealers will have access to within the new application. Before we get started with seeing a live preview of the new background check application, there is a little bit of information that I'd like to share with you. We do have some words or phrases that you will hear throughout the demonstration that I'd like for you to become more familiar with. The first phrase is the gun dealer portal, which is the equivalent as the FICS background check application. So anytime you hear me say gun dealer portal, just know that this is the same as the FICS background check application. Additionally, we have two separate user roles for dealer portal. The first is the dealer administrator, and the second is the dealer team member. The dealer administrator has access to functionality that team members do not have, such as viewing the account summary page, the dealer details page, and also the ability to edit and create dealer team members. This all might sound a bit foreign at the moment, but once we get into dealer portal, this will all become more clear. As for dealer team members, they have access to functionality that I will be covering in the live demonstration, except for the few that I mentioned a moment ago, which we will get into more detail about once I begin the live demonstration. The next piece of information that I'd like to share with you is the different ways a dealer can submit transactions to the FICS unit. The first is to make a phone call to the FICS unit directly in order to process any dealer transactions. The second is to access the FICS background check application, also known as Dealer Portal, to submit background checks. And lastly is to utilize the Gun Dealer API, where dealers can process transactions by integrating their internal application with the new FICS application. For the purposes of today's demonstration, I will be reviewing with you the second method that I mentioned, which is the new and improved Gun Dealer Portal. So you might be wondering, what exactly is Dealer Portal? Well, Dealer Portal is a web application where gun dealers can submit background checks for firearm transfers to the FICS unit. The Dealer Portal provides the gun dealers with the following functionality. The first is the dealers will have the ability to submit background checks to the FICS unit, and upon submitting these background checks, they will have the ability to view a list of all of these submitted transactions. They'll also have the ability to view a status for each of these transactions that were submitted. Dealers will also have the ability to submit thumbprint images directly to the FICS unit from Dealer Portal. And as for billing needs, dealers will have the ability to view their account summary, which includes a list of invoices associated to the dealer and any payments that were submitted towards that dealer's account. Dealers will also have the ability to submit invoice payments electronically directly from Dealer Portal, and in the event there are any announcements or notifications that the FICS unit wants the dealers to be aware of, dealers will have the ability to see those announcements and notifications from FICS within Dealer Portal. As I mentioned a moment ago, the dealer administrators will have the ability to add and manage their team members and provide them access to Dealer Portal. As for those dealers that are utilizing the API, they will have the ability to generate an API token. And lastly, dealers will have the ability to submit new gun show requests for gun shows that are not currently visible from the gun show dropdown to set their location. So now that we have gone through all of the important information that I wanted to share with you, I'm going to go ahead and move over to my browser so we can get our first look at the new and improved Gun Dealer Portal. This is our Oregon Firearms Instant Check Dealer Portal homepage. This is the homepage where Dealer Portal users will go to in order to log into their Dealer Portal accounts. But before I log in, I would like to draw your attention to the Contact dropdown in the upper right-hand corner of my homepage screen. When the user clicks on the Contact dropdown, they will see contact information for the Oregon State Police FICS unit. Here you can see we have their address, along with some phone numbers and an email address in case the dealer or anyone needs to contact the FICS unit. Moving over to the left side of our screen, this is where the dealer can enter in their username and password in order to log into Dealer Portal. But there are a few things that you should be aware of before logging in. there is this red flag that says there are active announcements. Log into view. Active announcements are high priority items of information that the FICS unit would like to relay to the dealers. And if there are any important or critical announcements posted in Dealer Portal, dealers can see that indication directly from here on the login page. But please note that dealers can't see the actual context of the announcement until they have logged in with their credentials in Dealer Portal. Right below that, we do have an acceptable use policy that we encourage all of the gun dealers to read prior to logging in. And finally, the dealer can now enter their username and password in order to log in. If a Dealer Portal user has forgotten their password, they can simply click on this Forgot Password link, which will open up this Trouble Logging In modal. They will be requested to enter in their username, an email address, or a phone number. And you'll notice some fields have one asterisk, such as the username field, which indicate these fields are always required. And some fields have a double asterisk, such as the email and phone number field, which means these are conditionally required. Conditionally required fields are fields that must be completed if certain conditions are met. So in other words, conditionally required fields look at one or more other fields to determine if that particular field is mandatory. Now that I am ready to log in, I'll go ahead and enter in my username and password and select Accept and Log In. Once the dealer has logged in, they will be prompted to confirm their location. They can either select the dealer retail location or the gun show/banquet option. When selecting the dealer retail location, the dealer address we have on file for them will be displayed here. If that retail location is incorrect, you can fill out a form by selecting this here link and send it to FICS to get your retail location updated, or you can contact the FICS unit directly by calling this number here. If the dealer is at a gun show or a banquet, by selecting this option, they will need to indicate the gun show or banquet that they are at by selecting this drop-down button here. And then they will need to indicate their exact location within the gun show. This can be a booth number, a table number, or any type of specific information to indicate your exact location within the gun show or banquet. Once the dealer has entered in their location, they can go ahead and select Confirm Location here. Once the dealer has confirmed their location, they will be taken to the My Transactions page. The My Transactions page is the home page for the Dealer Portal users. But before I get into what is displayed on this page, I would like to draw your attention to the upper right-hand corner of my screen. Here I have three separate icons. The first icon is a flag icon to indicate all of the active announcements posted by the FICS unit. Here you can see I do have a red dot indicator letting me know that there is a critical announcement or an active announcement the FICS unit has posted to Dealer Portal. So when I click on this icon, a drop-down list of all the active or critical announcements will be shown. The announcements are sorted by color. Critical announcements are indicated by this red color. From here, you can see the subject line for the announcement, along with the date that it was posted. Warning announcements are indicated by this yellow color. Here again, we can see the subject line for the announcement, along with the date that it was posted. And lastly, a standard announcement is indicated by this green color. Here we can also see the subject line for the announcement, along with the date that it was posted. By selecting on any one of these announcements, the expanded version of the announcements will display. Here I can read the actual text that was sent by the FICS user for each of the announcements that I have listed in my dropdown. The next icon here in the middle is this bell icon. This icon displays all of the dealer notifications when selected. Once it has been selected, a list of all of the dealer notifications will be displayed. Dealer notifications can be comments that are left from the FICS unit on any submitted transaction, or it could be an update to the status of a transaction that was submitted. Once the user has selected any one of these dealer notifications, they will be redirected to the transaction details page associated to that notification. The last icon that I have in the upper right-hand corner of my screen is this profile icon. This icon displays the user's initials, and when selected will display a number of options depending on the user role. The Manage Team and Manage Dealer options are only available for the dealer administrators. When a user selects on the Edit Profile option, they will be redirected to the My Profile Settings page. On this page, the user can update their username, their email address, along with any personal information we have displayed here. So I'll go ahead and update my middle name to Demo12 and click on Save. Then I will be shown a success banner letting me know that the changes have been successfully saved. If the dealer needs to reset their password, they can simply select on the Reset Password button. From here, the dealer user will be prompted to enter their current password along with the new password that they would like to set for their dealer portal account. For dealer portal users utilizing the Gun Dealer API, to generate their token, they would simply select on this key icon, which will then prompt them to confirm they want their API token to be generated. For any dealers looking to utilize the Gun Dealer API and would like more information, please go ahead and contact the FICS unit directly for more information about the Gun Dealer API. Going back to our profile icon, the next option available is the Manage Team option. By selecting that option, I will be redirected to the Manage Team page. And from this page, I can see my active members along with any inactive members. To create a new team member, simply click on the Add New Team Member button. This will redirect the dealer to the Add Team Member form, and from here they can enter in a username and select a user type, whether that be an administrator or a standard user. They can enter in a last name, a first name, and if a middle name or suffix is available, they can enter that as well. Now for email and cell phone, these are two conditionally required fields. The dealer must enter a cell phone or an email address for their team member, and the cell phone must be a number that can receive SMS text messages. And the reason is because this is how they will receive their temporary password in order to access Dealer Portal. If their team member does not have a cell phone or an email address, the dealer can then enter a temporary password and share that temporary password with the team member so that they can access the Dealer Portal. But for now, I'll go ahead and enter in a cell phone number and click Submit. Once I have submitted my information, I will see a success banner letting me know that my team member has been successfully added, and my team member has been added to the Active Members tab. To the right of each team member, I have two separate icons. The first icon is to indicate that this user has not yet accessed the Dealer Portal. Once the user has accessed Dealer Portal, this icon will no longer be visible. The next icon is the Edit Team Member icon. When selected, it will open up the Edit Team Member page. From here, I can edit any of the information that was previously submitted for my dealer team member. Another option I have from this page is to activate or inactivate my dealer team member. To inactivate my dealer, I would simply select this toggle that will deactivate this user. And when I hit Submit, the user will then move from the Active Team Members tab into my Inactive Team Members tab, which I can see that dealer team member has been added here. If I later decided I wanted to activate the inactive team member, I can do so by selecting on the pencil icon and select the toggle, which will then move my user to activated. When I hit Submit, I will now be able to see that team member on the Active tab of the Manage Team page. The next option I have available from the Profile dropdown is the Manage Dealer. When selected, this will redirect me to my dealer details page where I can see all of the information associated to my dealer, along with the status of my dealer. If any of the information displayed on the page needs to be updated, the user can go ahead and click here, which will redirect them to the FICS unit website. Going back to our profile dropdown, the last option that I have to select is log out. By selecting this option, the dealer portal user will then be logged out of the dealer portal application. I would now like to move our attention over to the left-hand side of my screen where I have my navigation panel. From here, I have a number of different action buttons to allow the dealer portal user navigate to different parts of the application. The first is the new firearm transaction option, which when selected will redirect the dealer portal user to the new firearm transaction form. There are 3 different types of transactions a dealer portal user can submit. The first is a dealer transaction. The second is a private party through dealer transaction. And the last is a gun check only transaction. When the user selects one of these 3 options, a number of sections will display on the form. For the purposes of today's demonstration, I will be submitting a dealer transaction. The first section I am presented with is the dealer information section. This section displays all of the information related specifically to my dealer. I will, however, need to indicate the name of the person making the transfer. If I have contact information for them, I can go ahead and include them in these fields here. The next section is the location section. And if you recall, upon logging in, I was prompted to enter my location. We can see the same information is displayed here. If I do need to update this, however, I do have the option to make whatever modifications I need to the location that is currently displayed on this form. The next section I have on my form is the transferee/buyer information section. This is the section where I will include all of the information pertaining to my buyer. So I'll go ahead and include her last name and first name. If they have a middle name or a suffix, I can go ahead and include them here. But if they do not, I can select the checkboxes beneath those fields to indicate that those fields are no longer required. I'll go ahead and include her address. I'll include her sex, her race, her ethnicity, her place of birth, the state of birth, the country of citizenship, and her date of birth. If I have her social security number, the unique personal identification number, or the Appeals Management Database ID, I can go ahead and indicate those in these fields here. The next section I have on my form is the identification section. The identification includes a list of all of the different ID types that I can select from. Once I have made my ID type selection, I will need to include the required ID number field. If I have any additional identifications that I would like to add, I can do so by selecting on this Add New Identification button. I will then also need to include an ID number. One new feature in the new gun dealer portal is that my country of citizenship for my buyer doesn't always have to be the United States. If my purchaser was from Spain or any other country other than the United States, I will need to include an additional form of ID, such as the Alien ID or the I-94, as a second form of identification. Since I already have 2 different types of identifications included here, I'll go ahead and select Add New Identification Type and include an I-94. Now I have met my requirement for having my country of citizenship as a different country other than the United States. The next section that I have is the thumbprint section. If I have any prints associated to my buyer that I would like to include in my transaction, I can do so by selecting on this Add Image button. When selected, I can go ahead and select my thumbprint image, and it'll get added to my transaction. Once your attachment has passed through the virus scanner, there will be 2 separate icons to the right of each of your attachments. The first icon is this magnifying glass, which will allow you to view the image attached to the transaction. The second image is this trash can icon, which will allow the dealer user to delete the image attached to the transaction in the thumbprints section. The last section that I have is the firearm information section. First, the user will need to indicate the category of firearms. That can either be a handgun, a long gun, or other. The user will then be prompted to enter in a manufacturer, then a model, the gun type, the action if required, the caliber if required, and if a serial number is present, they can go ahead and enter it here. If there is no serial number, the user can simply select on the No Serial Number checkbox, which will populate the field with the word None. If a owner-applied number or an OIN is available, they can also enter it in this field here. Once I am done with the information I have entered, I can go ahead and select Save Firearm, which will add that firearm to this table here. If I have any additional firearms that I would like to include to my transaction, I can simply go back up to the category of firearms and select either a handgun, a long gun, or other. I will then be prompted to enter in my manufacturer, my model, the gun type, the caliber, and again, if I have a serial number, I can go ahead and include it here, and if I have an owner-applied number or an OIN, I can add that here. Once I have entered in all of my required fields, I can click on Save Firearm, which will add that second firearm to this table here. If you'll notice, to the right of each firearm, there are two different icons. The first icon is this pencil icon. Once selected, I'll have the ability to edit the firearm that was previously saved. So assuming I make any edits and select Save, those edits will then be reflected in the table below. The second icon is a delete icon. By selecting this icon, it will remove the firearm from this table and will not be included when the transaction is submitted. Now that I have gotten through all of my sections and all the required fields have been filled in, I have three different buttons located at the bottom of my transaction form. The first is Clear Form. When selected, all the information that was previously entered in the form will be removed as if you are submitting a brand new transaction. The second button is a Save as Draft button. This button will allow the user to save any information included in the transaction but is not yet ready for submission. But please note that any draft transactions are only retained until midnight and will be purged or deleted at 12 a.m. on the next calendar day. And finally, once I am ready to submit my transaction, I can go ahead and select the Submit button. Once my transaction has been successfully submitted, I will see a success banner at the top of my screen, and I'll be redirected to My Transactions page. Another way to get to the My Transactions page is from the left side navigation panel. The second action button, named My Transactions, will redirect the user to the My Transactions page. At the top of the My Transactions page, we have a search bar, which will allow the user to search on any of the information found on this page. So for example, if I wanted to see all of the transactions John Doe processed, I can simply enter in John Doe as my search criteria, which will filter the results based on the criteria I enter in the search field. I also have the option to search or filter by status. You can see in the status column I have a number of different statuses for each of the transactions that were previously submitted. If I only wanted to see my submitted transactions, I can simply do so by selecting the Submitted filter, which will filter the results in the table to only display the transactions with the status of submitted. On this page, we can see a number of different columns. The first column is the Date Submitted column. This date submitted is the date the transaction was submitted to the FICS unit. The next column is the transaction code. This column is populated with the transaction code once the transaction status has been set to approved by a FICS examiner. The transferee or buyer information column is the name of the transferee located on the transaction at the time of submission. The salesperson is the name of the dealer user who submitted the transaction to the FICS unit. The status is the status of the transactions set by a FICS examiner. To the right of each transaction, you'll notice we have two different icons. The first icon is the magnifying glass, which allows the FICS user to view the details for that transaction. When selected, the user will be redirected to the transaction details page, where they can see all of the information that was submitted at the time of submission. The next icon I have is the Show FICS Unit Notes icon. Once selected, it'll display any FICS notes that the FICS examiner has left on the transaction for the dealer portal user to see. And lastly, as this is still a development phase for this application, we do have a place in queue. This will show the dealer portal user where their transaction is within the queues found in the GunCheck application. Going back to our left side navigation panel, the next action button I'd like to review with you is the account summary. Once selected, the dealer portal user will have the ability to view a list of invoices associated to their dealer account, along with a list of payments made towards their dealer account. In the upper right-hand corner of the account summary page, I do have an account balance. The account balance is the total of all the invoice amounts, minus the payments and refunds, minus all the amount due on the invoices that have been referred to DOR or Department of Revenue. The account balance only reflects invoices and payments that occurred within the new GunCheck system. The account balance will be updated to reflect any amounts applied towards the dealer account. On this page, you can search by any of the information displayed in this table below. On this page, we can see the invoice period for each of the invoices associated to the dealer, the date that the invoice was generated, the invoice numbers for those generated invoices, the invoice amount billed on that invoice, how much money was applied to that particular invoice, how much is due on that particular invoice, and lastly, the status of that invoice. To the right of each invoice, we have a few icons that display. The first icon is this PDF icon, which when selected will open up a copy of the invoice for the dealer portal user to view. The next icon is this dollar icon. This dollar icon indicates that this invoice has an amount due and will allow the dealer portal user to submit a credit card payment for this invoice. When selected, the dealer user will be redirected to the payment summary page. From here, the billing information will be pre-filled based on the information on record for that particular dealer. Of course, all the information here is editable. If the dealer portal user wanted to include any notes for their payments, they can do so here in this notes field. To the right side of our screen, we do have the order summary. In the order summary, we do have information such as the invoice number, the billing period, the account balance, the invoice amount, and the amount due. The payment amount will always default to the amount due for that particular invoice. If I wanted to update this to only be the amount that I want to pay, I can do so by editing the payment amount field. Once I am ready to submit my payment, I can do so by selecting the Proceed to Payment button. Once selected, I will be prompted to enter in my credit card number. Then my expiration date, and lastly my code. Once I am ready to pay, I can go ahead and select on the Pay 50 USD button. And once my payment is successful, I will see a success banner at the top of my account summary page. And we will notice a few things happened. The amount due for this invoice has been updated to reflect the amount that had been paid. The amount applied has also been updated to reflect the $50 payment that this dealer has made towards their account. And also in the upper right-hand corner, we can see the account balance has changed from $70 to $20 to reflect the amount that has been paid. If the invoice amount had been paid in full, the status of this invoice would have also been updated to paid. To view the payment that was made for this invoice, I can simply select on the invoice, which will expand the invoice row. In the invoice row, I can see any payments directly applied towards this invoice. I can see the payment date, the payment type, the check or receipt number, the amount that was paid, and how much was applied to this invoice. If multiple payments have been made towards this invoice, the total applied would reflect the total amount applied towards this invoice. To take a look at another invoice as an example, when I expand this row, I can see that this invoice had 2 payments made. The first payment was made on March the 16th, 2022, and was a credit card payment for the amount of $40. The second payment was made on the same day, which was a credit card payment in the amount of $20. The total amount applied was $60, and because the invoice amount was $60, my invoice status had been updated to paid. To view a list of payments associated to the dealer can simply navigate to the Payments tab on the Account Summary page. From here, all the payments that were submitted through Dealer Portal or submitted from GunCheck applied towards the dealer account, such as a check or a money order, will be visible from this Payments tab. The Dealer Portal user has the ability to search on any of the information found in this page. And from this page, they can view the payment date, the payment type, the check or receipt number, the amount that was paid, and the amount that was applied. When a user selects on any one of these rows, the row will expand to display which invoice that payment was applied to. If you look at a previous example when we made the $50 payment towards this invoice, we can see the invoice that this payment was applied to. We can see the invoice number and the invoice amount and how much of this was applied towards that invoice. Same follows for any other payments displayed on this page. Moving back over to our left side navigation panel, the next action button is the Add Scheduled Gun Show. If you recall, when the user first logged in, they were prompted to set their location. If the user had selected Gun Show/Banquet, they were asked to select a gun show from a drop-down list. If the gun show you would like to select is not available from that drop-down list, the Dealer Portal user can select the Add Scheduled Gun Show action button, which will open up the Add Scheduled Gun Show form. From here, the Dealer Portal user can add the gun show/banquet name, the address, and contact information for the gun show. They'll also have the ability to enter any dates associated to this gun show, and if there are any notes or any information that they would like the FICS unit to be aware of, they can include it in this notes field here. So for demonstration purposes, I'll go ahead and enter in a gun show. I will enter in my street address, the city. The state will always be defaulted to the state of Oregon. I will enter in my contact information, my phone number, and here I can include the dates for my gun show. By selecting on this calendar icon, I have the ability to open up a calendar picker so I can select the dates for my gun show. And if I have any additional dates, I can select the Add Additional Dates button, which will allow me to add multiple dates for my gun show. Once I am ready to enter or submit my gun show, I can go ahead and select the Submit button. Once it has been successfully submitted, a green banner will display letting me know that the FICS unit has successfully received my gun show request. And last but not least, the last action button available from the left side navigation panel is this FAQ link. By selecting this link, the Dealer Portal user will be redirected to the FICS FAQ page. On behalf of the FICS unit at OSP and DCI, I'd like to provide a special thank you for all of the gun dealers in participating and watching our live demonstration of the new Gun Dealer Portal. If you have any project questions, please email us at leds.2020@osp.oregon.gov. Or if you have any FICS background check questions, please feel free to email us at firearm.dealers@osp.oregon.gov. We appreciate your time and thanks for joining us.